happening now, and this is current, and I hope people just go into this with an open mind.
Well, I hope they do too. I'm happy to showcase it, and we will continue the conversation. Montana Tucker, all of good things for you, and thank you for using your platform this way.
Thank you, Chris. You're amazing. Thank you.
All right, we'll be in touch. Thank you very much, everybody, for being with us. Leland Vittert picks up our coverage right now.
Really? I got to follow Montana Tucker?
You know, often you have very similar eyeshadow on. I was a little worried that people were going to transition right in from her to you and not know the difference.
Yeah, there was going to be the dissolve, and they would just continue on. By the way, awesome show tonight. Watch the whole thing. I think you might agree with the opening of my monologue, so you have a second. I'm going to try it out. In politics, you have to keep winning because the American people have short memories. Agree or disagree?
Hundo P, you are right on it. What have you done for me lately?
All right, now I'm going to keep going. So for Donald Trump,
Please.
The closing of the borders and ending DEI programs, both huge wins for him, are now things of the past. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
So he needs a win is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I think that's what you're telling me.
Well, I'm asking you. You agree with me?
I agree with you.
All right, there we go. You see, it's amazing. And you give me Montana Tucker. And I think it's actually one of the most important things that she's doing. So thank you for highlighting it. We'll talk soon, my friend.
Absolutely. I look forward to the show, brother. Get
All right, here we go. And with that, Donald Trump does need a win. It's not coming this week. Let's look at the headlines objectively. Trump to let Putin keep land seized from Ukraine. That's from the Telegraph. Rubio says Iran can have civilian nuclear program if it gives up enrichment. That's from the Times of Israel. Trump weighs slashing China tariffs to 50 to 65% to ease tensions from the New York Post. These are not fake news. In fact, they are basically the White House's own talking points. So maybe appeasing Putin, the Ayatollah, and Xi will somehow result in a stronger America with a more robust economy. But that is difficult to see right now. As Cuomo agreed, Trump needs another major win ahead of the first 100 days mark 1 week from tonight. So although he might declare victory on something, it doesn't always count as a win in the court of public opinion. The American people are smart. That's our Why It Matters segment. So how is Trump going to get a real win? The American people feel the border is closed. Real win, we can see it. The American people feel DEI is dead. There's a lot of people angry DEI is dead. But you can feel this change in the culture. All of a sudden, you can make a lot of jokes that you couldn't make before. The country, the feel is changing. So right now, it appears Trump is looking for a win and walking back the goalposts to get one. Just consider about how he's talking about a range of issues, including ending the Russia-Ukraine war, making a trade deal with China, bullying Iran into a new nuclear deal, even getting the hostages out of Gaza. He is walking things back quickly. Part of what makes judging the Trump administration on a daily basis so difficult is that Trump can change his mind on all of these things tomorrow. But at least right now, no big tariffs on China. Iran can keep its nuclear program. The war in Ukraine may not end. He doesn't know. These are big changes. But he could wake up tomorrow and decide he had it and bomb Iran. He may try to put pressure on Putin to take his medicine or face crippling tariffs and banking sanctions. But so far, Trump's backing off of Putin lately. He might also decide he wants to stand up to China and not bend a knee when the markets get squishy. Hallelujah if that happens. So it brings us to Trump's favorite word, flexibility. Our adversaries and allies know how much he loves flexibility, and they know how much he needs a win. Xi in China can wait weeks, he can wait months, and let Trump get uncomfortable, and then Trump will start to get flexible. This is the problem for Trump right now. The American people are not necessarily as flexible as he is. The American people are counting on wins that they can feel, not just wins that are declared. We begin tonight with David Bossy, Trump's 2016 campaign manager, close confidant of the president. You're chuckling along, and that scares me. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, Leland, you're just building, this is what the media does. They build up these storylines to make it so hypercritical that the president must do this today. That is not who Donald Trump is. He is doing things that are different. He got elected, 77 million Americans elected him to be a change agent, not kick the can down the road, not allow these bad deals, whether it's Biden's
100%.
border economy, national security crisis. That's what he was elected to do.
David, is it difficult?
So hold on.
Is it difficult for me to agree with you?
Wait a second. No. It's not difficult for you to agree. What I'm saying is it's the same with tariffs and the economy. This is the sausage making. You are looking at a micro analysis, minute to minute. That's what we are all doing during the show and what the media does. It's the micro. It's the second to second. That's not what Donald Trump's looking at. He is willing, and he is a negotiator. He is willing to make people uncomfortable in whether it is a tariff or the Iranian nuclear deal or whatever topic you want to discuss, or walking away, telling Ukraine, you better get to the table or we're going to have some tough conversations, David, and we may walk away. This is what Donald Trump does to make deals. And that's what he's going to do at the end of the day.
David, the issue is not whether he's going to make deals. We know he's going to make deals. We know he's going to declare victory. But he has now given away all of the leverage over China to the point that the Chinese are having a trending. Yes, okay. Trump chickened out as the top trending topic on China's Weibo social media. AI images circulating that show Chinese President Xi Jinping.
Donald Trump isn't looking at that, and it doesn't matter.
Okay, explain to me.
What you are doing, Leland, is looking at it minute to minute and saying the world is run by X or by China's version of X, and that is not what Donald Trump is doing. He is a leader. He is a leader,
David,
a generational change
David,
agent.
when you're yelling at me, it shows that you're losing. Just answer my question.
I'm not yelling. I'm telling Leland.
Yes, you are. Just answer my question for me, okay? Trump went from saying we need 145% tariffs in order to confront China. I was on board with that. I praised him for that. I said America should endure the pain to take on the Chinese. They need to be taken on.
Correct.
And then with absolutely no concessions from China, he has lowered that to 50 to 65% and say we're going to play nice. How is that good negotiating?
Leland, Donald Trump said we need to start a conversation. And starting at 145 and ending up at 65 is a good deal for America.
He didn't get anything for it.
It is a good deal for America. Leland, what he's doing is he is negotiating. This is his first step. This is what this is. I know you don't want to agree with it. It's okay. It's okay. And I'm passionate about it. I'm not yelling at you. I'm passionate about it because I don't like people just painting Donald Trump with this brush. I think it's unfair, and you don't understand the man and his mission. His mission is to change the way America is used around the world. And his mission is
David,
to create, recreate manufacturing in this country.
I understand.
The tariffs are a way to do that.
I understand. We have said and we have understood short-term pain for long-term gain. Again, he unilaterally went from 145% to 60%. What did he get from that from the Chinese for doing that?
He did that?
What did he get from the Chinese?
Let's start the He didn't need to get anything, Leland. He is starting the conversation. He is saying, I have the stick, which is 145%, but I'm going to say we are looking at 50 to 65%, which we feel is appropriate. And now let's get to the table and discuss this. That's where he is. I don't think you make anything more of it than what that is.
Okay. So when Bill O'Reilly on Cuomo earlier said that the rollout of the tariffs wasn't good, you would disagree with him? This has been perfect all along.
The rollout. Now we're going to get into the minute-to-minute of how the president.
Come on, David.
I think the president.
Donald Trump wants minute-by-minute coverage. It's why he has the press. It's why he has the press in the Oval Office for an hour every day.
90 days. He's done more in 90 days than Joe Biden did in 4 years. And so this is the most transparent administration. This guy holds press conferences every single day in the White House. He takes questions. He's the most accessible president.
David, you can't at one hand say he's the most accessible president who holds press conferences every day. Great. It's awesome. But then get mad when people say, we're going to judge you minute by minute when you're talking in those press conferences. Which way do you want it?
No, what he's doing is he's making sure that there's transparency, that the American people see
what he's doing
and why he's doing it. We should judge him by the outcomes, not the minute. Look, we didn't judge the president every minute of every day during World War II. We had to win the war, okay? And so he did things that cost America. It cost America in blood and in treasure. And the president has to make tough decisions, and the making of the sausage is always different than the tasting of the sausage. And that's what you're opening. The American people want to taste the sausage. They don't want to see it being made.
Okay. This is from Ken Griffin, who I think we can all agree has become a supporter of Donald Trump. Take a listen.
The United States was more than just a nation. It's a brand. We're eroding that brand right now, because when you tarnish that brand, it can be a lifetime to repair the damage that has been done.
You don't see that he has a point?
I don't. I think that the president is leading. He is doing something different.
So all the flip-flops don't matter
in the last 40 years.
Okay.
You're saying they're flip-flops, and I'm saying they're negotiating opportunities, and that's what the president is looking at. So what we're doing here is I try to look at everything and say, this is the positive outcome that President Trump is looking at, and this is his positive outcome, his goal to make America great. And that's his goal. And I support all of his activities as he's trying to get that accomplished.
All right. David, may we all have an advocate as articulate and dedicated as you are. You're a good friend of the president. We always appreciate you being here. Thank you.
My pleasure. Good to see you, and I look forward to being back.
Yes, sir. Anytime. A longtime Democrat literally threw in the towel. Dick Durbin won't run for re-election. Why this and other Democrats calling it quits could actually be President Trump's worst nightmare.
If you're a Democrat, we have to find some people to represent us better, who have a sense of humor.
Realizing in real time, time to throw in the towel. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin has been in Congress since I was born. And today, he finally said he's leaving.
The decision of whether to run for re-election has not been easy. I truly love the job of being United States Senator. But in my heart, I know it's time to pass the torch. We're also fortunate to have a strong Democratic bench ready to serve. We need them now more than ever.
Really? 42 years, 80 years old, still a tough decision. But that line, the strong Democratic bench, the bench is strong, mostly of far-left progressives, the AOC types. And Democrats around the country now realize they can quit or lose in a primary. New Hampshire Senator Jeanne Shaheen, Minnesota Senator Tina Smith, Michigan Senator Gary Peters have all said they won't run in 2026. Now, most political commentators will say this is proof the Democrats are in disarray. That is not necessarily true. Maybe it is proof they realize they have a problem and they are fixing it. Here's George Clooney.
He is. He's charismatic. I mean, I don't agree with him at all on anything, but, you know, he was famous from a television show. If you're a Democrat, we have to find some people to represent us better, who have a sense of humor, and who have a sense of purpose.
With us now, Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar, joining us from opening night of the minor league baseball team in Laredo, Texas. Senator, Congressman, it is good to see you. Thank you. Is George Clooney, for as smug as he is, correct that the Democratic Party need to find people with a sense of humor and a sense of purpose?
Well, humor always helps, certainly, but a sense of purpose, I think, is more important to make sure that they follow the words that LBJ said many years ago. When LBJ said, "I'm an American, I'm a Texan, and then I am a Democrat." And that's what's wrong with both Democrats and Republicans, that they tend to put party before their country. And I think that's one of the reasons we have this very divided government in Washington, D.C.
All right. Preach. Couldn't agree with you more. You, and I think deserve credit for this, were one of the very few Democrats, at times the only Democrat, who was willing to talk about the border, the problems at the border, the need to secure the border. One would think that post-Trump's election on immigration, so much discussion for the Democratic Party moving to the center, or the need for it to move to the center, you would be a poster child. Except that's not the case. The most vocal parts of the Democratic Party are now the far left. What's happening?
Well, you're right. Some of us that live at the border, we don't just come visit. We've been talking about strong border security for so many years. And now, there are Democrats who are talking about the border. But with all due respect, when you're talking about bringing somebody, and I know there was due process questions from that was in Maryland and now in Salvador, I don't know if that's the right issue that Democrats should be focusing right now. Strong border security, but we got to talk about the cost of living, what the tariffs are doing to the consumer, what's happened to the stock market. Those are the things that people want to talk about. In my district, I've traveled my district. It's rare that somebody brings up that case of that person from Maryland because they want to talk about other things.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. We've been saying that for a while here. What do you think it is? Why are Democrats so focused on something, as you point out, so few people, real people, actually care about?
Well, I know some of my colleagues, and they, I don't want to speak for them. They went down there. They trying to bring back the individual. Is that the topic we ought to be talking about? The numbers have gone down here at the border. The people in my area are not talking much about the border because the numbers have gone down. But are you going to become a Republican, Congressman? No. I started talking about the border before Republicans started talking about the border, and I always joke around with the Republicans, and I'm glad they're now understanding what we have been talking about the border. We want strong border security, but at the same time, we got to treat the immigrants with respect and dignity.
I don't think anybody argues with respect and dignity. This is from Gavin Newsom. We just have to move beyond the guy or gal on the white horse that's coming to save the day. It's exhausting. We are as dumb as we want to be. Newsom on Democrats. I don't know what the party is. Newsom wants to be president, but he doesn't know what the Democratic Party is. Is that necessarily a bad thing, not knowing what the Democratic Party is? Not for Gavin Newsom, but for the country right now?
Well, I think if somebody's looking at the White House that wants to run for president, I think they need to have a general idea what the party wants, what America wants, what middle of America, what the ordinary people want. You got to have some sort of idea. You got to be talking about the basic things that are important to human beings. You got to make sure you're safe. You got to make sure you got a job, make sure you got an education, make sure you have housing, the basic things that human beings want. So when you say, you're saying something that's very similar to what Pete Buttigieg said. Now Mayor Pete turned Secretary Pete, now concerned dad with a beard. Take a listen.
So I do think my party needs to do a much better job, especially with the kind of finger wagging that you're talking about. I think we are very prone to that. And I've seen it happen on any side. I think a lot of people, you get this sense of moral conviction, and you're so sure of it that you start to think it makes it okay to be an asshole.
I think he's right on that. You know, I see a lot of people that in the past, you were talking about primaries. You know, as you know, the left spent in the last couple of primaries spent over $20 million to try to get somebody purified and get somebody to go far left. They didn't win. I'm still around. But I tell you something, they were telling me what was good for my district. The outsiders felt that they could speechify, preach to me about my district when they have never been here in my district before. And that's what we got to be careful as Democrats. We cannot speechify or we cannot preach about certain morals. We got to know where the American people are at. Just be normal. Just be yourself. Talk to the American people. And I always say, what is the basic need of a human being? They want to have a roof. They want to have a job. They want to get an education, and they want to be safe. Those are the basic things that we want as human beings.
Yeah, and they want hope that life's going to be better for their kids than it was for them. Congressman, I've always admired you being willing to come on at my previous network and here. You've been saying the same things for 10 years, as long as we've been talking. Go back and enjoy the rest of the baseball game, sir.
Thank you so much. The only binational team in the country, Mexico, they play in Mexico, in the U.S. Very unique team.
I love it. It's great. Something brings us together. It's good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Finding a cause, we're not talking about a cure, but trying to find a cause for autism is obvious. Why wouldn't you want to know the cause for an explosion in cases of autism, something that really horribly affects millions of Americans and their families? 1 in 31 children is diagnosed by the time they turn 8. That's up from 1 in 150 in 2020, a 383% increase. It's something that I want to know because when I was diagnosed with what we now know as autism, it was 1 in 1,000. So think about that. Also think about what one of my heroes, Tom Brokaw, used to say. It's not the questions that get us in trouble, it's the answers. So what's causing this spike should be the scientific question of our time. But it is not. Because up until now in science, you couldn't talk about the rise in cases of autism. Dr. Jay Bhattacharya is the new head of the National Institutes of Health, finally told us why everyone won't talk about it.
Secretary Kennedy has asked me to, for instance, to initiate a study on autism, the cause of the rise in autism. It's a question that is at the front of the minds of so many parents across the country worried about their kids, and yet scientific progress on this has been slow because scientists are frankly scared to ask the question.
Stunning, right? Scientists are frankly scared to ask the question. What are they scared of? The answer? Thankfully, it doesn't scare Bhattacharya, a doctor who's already been, quote, on the wrong side of science. Bhattacharya co-authored the Great Barrington Declaration. That was back in 2020, and he made the case at that time for an end to lockdowns during COVID.
The idea is that you protect the vulnerable, people that are older, who we know that if they get infected have higher risk of death, but for everyone else, let them live their normal lives, reopen schools, resume arts, culture, and so on. The idea being that younger people, children, for instance, face much higher costs from the shutdown than they do from COVID itself.
Duh. That was back in 2020. It seems so obvious now. In fact, it is science now. We would have been better opening up, especially schools. But back then, Jay Bhattacharya got completely shellacked for saying it.
Herd immunity is achieved by protecting people from a virus, not by exposing them to it. It's scientifically and ethically problematic.
If you let infections rip, as it were, and say, let everybody get infected that's going to be able to be getting infected, and then we'll have herd immunity, quite frankly, that is nonsense.
It's a recipe for basically overwhelming the healthcare system and basically affecting everybody else's health around us. You know, it's a recipe for worsening the disaster that is the U.S. response that we already see.
So the actual disaster was the U.S. response. Bhattacharya turned out to be right about COVID and lockdowns. But at the time, he got called a fringe epidemiologist. Now, he's the head of the NIH, so people don't say that anymore. But there are rumblings that researching the cause of autism is dangerous. I would submit not researching the cause of autism is far more dangerous. I tell my story of being diagnosed with autism and my dad's fight to keep me from being defined in it in a new book, Born Lucky, offering hope for parents and kids struggling with anything from autism to ADHD, mental issues, physical disabilities, bullying in school, struggling to make friends. Born Lucky comes out September 30th. You can pre-order the book at bornlucky.com. Great news. Right now, for these 3 days, Barnes & Noble is offering 25% off. And I would be honored if you come on this journey with me of the book and talking about this issue, finally being willing to discuss it publicly, openly, and honestly. We first wrote about this in War Notes. That's our free newsletter. Comes out every day at 7 p.m. The same common sense, unflinching analysis we deliver every day on the show. We're going to have an exclusive book event where you can ask questions, join the conversation, only for War Notes subscribers. So subscribe at warnotes.com for free, then buy the book. We will send you an invite to the event in October. If you've forgotten all of this, just remember, at social media, Leland Vittert, we'll see you there. Elon Musk is stepping away from Doge. Tesla's stock is up. But can he bring back the brand? And why, whether you like Elon or not, we should all be rooting for Tesla.
I can't speak more highly about any individual. He's an incredible guy. He's a brilliant guy.
.401ks, we should really hope that Tesla is not the next Bud Light. Bud Light never recovered from using transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney to sell beer. So even if you hate Donald Trump and hate Elon Musk, you should root for Tesla to do well. Tesla's total revenue from car sales dropped 20%. The company's net income dropped 71% for the first quarter of this year. Its stock is down roughly 50% in the past few months. So even if you don't own a Tesla, even if you aren't interested in the market, it is America's 6th largest company. If its stock keeps falling, it is going to hurt the American economy. The numbers are startling, but not surprising. Mass attacks on Teslas across the country, people randomly vandalizing them. Tesla set on fire, protests at dealerships. It's no longer hip to drive a Tesla. And Elon Musk seems to be realizing there's a problem. He just announced yesterday he's going to be stepping back from some of his responsibilities with Doge.
I'll continue to spend, a day or two per week on government matters for as long as the president would like me to do so, and as long as it is useful. But starting next month, I'll be allocating far more of my time to Tesla.
White House correspondent for Axios, Mark Caputo, is with us now. He reports today Musk versus Bessent dispute erupted into West Wing shouting match, as well as Lisa Miller, marketing strategist who's worked with huge brands, Pepsi and Fritos among them. Lisa, have we ever seen a brand that has become so embroiled and defined by politics?
I think this is probably the most divisive, just given where we are in the economy. But we've seen brands before, whether it's, Apple, when Steve Jobs got let go and then he got brought back. But the political divide is immense right now. And I will say, I do research every month, and the shock and awe from the consumer fear in data I got just last week is shrinking a little bit. So, but yes, this is a probably unprecedented political divide relative to a product.
Mark, deeply sourced inside the White House, how much of Musk's decision to take a step back, second only to spend more time with family as an excuse, is his fear over Tesla?
I can't speak to that. What is pretty clear is he is coming to the end of his special government employee status anyway, so he was going to be phasing out. Doge has sort of come to the end of its mission of trying to find efficiencies, and in this argument with Scott Bessent in the story I had written that you referenced, Bessent did accuse him of overpromising and under-delivering on budget cuts. So he is sort of leaving with less of a fulfilled or promised mission than he initially entered with. But yeah, Tesla and its stock price and those business problems are certainly weighing heavily on him.
All right, so Lisa, you think about Teslas themselves. I drove one for a while. I enjoyed driving it, but they were built, and they were oftentimes at one point a status symbol, and Musk was a hero of wealthy suburban urban dwellers, office jobs, soccer moms. There's a limited market for these things, just practically. So what is Elon Musk's option?
Well, I think we have to step back for a minute, is that when people bought into the idea of Tesla, they bought into the mission, which was an innovative, it's technology, it's helping the environment, and those needs are not going to go away. So what's going to happen is that the mission is going to have to speak louder than the man, because right now it's kind of flipped. You know, Elon's become the lightning rod for the political state. But if people stay true, and it's marketing 101, when people stay true to the values of why people love a brand in the first place, those demands and those needs don't go away.
That's an interesting thought. Whether Elon Musk is willing to step back or not, who knows? He's often thought himself as the front man, the hype man, is the most important part of this. Here's Trump on Musk. Take a listen.
He was treated very unfairly by I guess you'd call it the public, by some of the public, not by all of it. But he makes an incredible car, makes everything he does is good. But they took it out on Tesla. I said, you know, whenever you're ready, I'd like to keep him for a long time, but whenever you're ready.
Mark, you've covered Donald Trump for a long time. I've covered him since 2015. I have never seen Trump be as gracious or appearing to be as genuinely fond of a non-family member as he is of Elon Musk.
He might be more fond of Elon Musk than some of his family members. Donald Trump is, I mean, let's face it, right? Donald Trump prizes money making. He believes finance and success are the highest pinnacles of status. And this is the richest man in the world. I think he still is, Elon Musk. In addition to that, Donald Trump kind of likes new cool things. He likes the idea of electric cars. And yeah, he had that weird riff about electric boats sinking and shark attacks, which we could go into another time when we have more time. He also loves the idea of space travel and a social media company owner. I mean, Elon Musk represents a lot of the things that Donald Trump himself would aspire to. And Donald Trump represents the things that Elon Musk would aspire to, which is the leader of a political movement and the leader of a nation, which obviously as a foreign-born person Musk could never be. So they each have qualities in the other that they prize and like, and they do like each other.
Deep reporting from Mark Caputo is what we always get. Lisa, I'm going to give you the last word on this. Elon Musk and Donald Trump both have this feeling that they're their own best spokespeople and both representatives. I think what I'm hearing from you, and for anybody who thinks, gee, it would be good if Tesla survived because it employs 100,000 Americans and makes a good product, and what we said earlier about its effect on the American economy, the best thing might be for Donald Trump and Elon Musk to be quiet about it.
I do believe that, and whether that happens or not, you know, that is it.
Yeah, good luck.
From a marketing view, honestly, there are senior executives that are founders that realize sometimes the best thing is to be quiet. And Elon is innovative. He is very smart, and I think he's, you know, got a good head from a business standpoint. So it'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, I believe that it's innovative. He is beyond innovative. So I think he could do it, and I'm cheering for him.
See if he can invent his way out of this one. It's a doozy. Mark, Lisa, thank you both very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. This is an important question. Do Democrats in Colorado actually think their constituents are idiots? The nanny state has run amok in a way you will not believe.
It's kind of like put a warning label on paint that says do not eat, you know? I mean, I would think that a lot of people already know something like that.
gas, and along the way, questioning the intelligence of their constituents. A new bill making its way through the Colorado House and waiting for Senate approval wants warning labels on gas pumps. Seriously. The sign would read, "Warning, use of this product releases air pollutants and greenhouse gases known by the state of Colorado to be linked to significant health impacts and global heating, respectively." They claim it's to remind drivers that they're contributing to greenhouse gas emissions and gently urge them to limit excess driving.
It is modeled after public health strategies such as cigarette warning labels to help consumers make informed choices.
Also a consumer myself, I do not believe that this bill is about making people feel bad. I think our communities deserve the opportunity to understand the things that they see happening in their state, but also to build knowledge.
Senior writer Noah Rothman for the National Review just wrote, "Colorado Democrats think you're an idiot," and joins us now. I lived in Colorado for 3 years, so I think I understand this a little bit better than most. It does not surprise me. My first thought when reading this was, wow, if this is what the Colorado State Legislature is working on, things must be really good in Colorado.
Yeah, you would think. All other problems are resolved except for your neighbors. They're the biggest issue that we're all going to have to confront. Not you, of course. You, good sir, have the common sense and good taste to understand that when you combust fossil fuels, they emit CO2 and carbon monoxide. Imagine that. Just think, in this piece, I try to imagine the average Coloradan who would experience seeing this sign. This person gets up out of bed that they own, lives in an apartment or a house that they rent or have purchased, has a bunch of clothing and food and hygiene products that they've sifted through via market signals and competing enterprises, and they have a car that they probably own. And so they pull up to the gas station having made all these informed choices and are confronted with this sticker that conveys to them that their lawmakers think they're a drooling idiot who can barely navigate life without a government Sherpa holding their hands. I mean, it's a sort of paternalism that does kind of grate on you, and it manifests in public policy that has the effect of either making life marginally more expensive or more annoying. And yeah, you're going to come off as condescending if you think other people need your help, otherwise they're going to stick a fork in their eye. Yeah, it's not an endearing trait.
Or they might buy gas for their car without the help. I'm fascinated, especially by Colorado, because there's so many parts of this, right? Including it as a state where 20% of the state in 2021, we can assume that number has gone up, smoked cannabis within the past 30 days. According to the environmental downside of cannabis cultivation, cannabis emits potent VOCs called terpenes that when mixed with nitrogen oxide and sunlight form ozone-degrading aerosols. In a high desert zone like Denver, where normally there are very few sources of VOCs, any new source of such pollutants would likely lead to ground-level ozone production. I don't know, but I feel like people who are smoking weed in Colorado are contributing to global warming, and that's the problem.
Yeah, of course. I mean, probably at least marginal contributions to greenhouse gas emissions, yes, which we're expected to be very sensitive toward because that contributes to your individual carbon footprint, right? If you presented that argument in that very specific case to the people who are advocating for these warning labels, I think you'd get a completely different argument. You would hear, oh, these individuals are making informed choices by themselves about the health, about their individual health choices, their individual recreation choices. Who are we to judge, sit in judgment of those choices?
I think I agree with the whole libertarian concept at all, almost to a default. How then does the right, which I think rightfully is a little bit scornful of what's happening in Colorado, then turn around and say, but we need RFK Jr. to ban food dyes, otherwise we can't figure out what to eat?
Yeah, so this is just partisanship and raw naked partisanship, which, the Republican conservative libertarian instinct to object to the exercise of power that is arbitrary in order to shape the way other people live because other people are living wrong is something that Republicans were allergic to when conservatism was the lodestar. Today, national populism is the lodestar on the right. And that has a very different relationship with the power of the state and how the state can be used to affect and nudge and shape the choices you make in life. Those are very different philosophical outlooks, but they are both
an intellectually honest man. We don't find those very often on television. Noah, thank you. We appreciate it. One thing you'll be talking about tomorrow when we come back.
You've never been.
Well, am I not allowed to talk about it now? I've never been to. Have you ever been to Nazi Germany? Are you allowed to have feelings about them?
You can't time travel, but you can. But you can travel.
One thing for tomorrow, we're sitting down with Douglas Murray, fresh off his heated debate on the Joe Rogan Experience, the author of On Democracies and Death Cults. You don't want to miss this. One of the smartest men of our time. But before that, a U.S. Customs and Border Protection plane had a close encounter with what they describe as a UFO. Check out this animation that was created with the crew's real audio.
It's not weird, but I just had something pass underneath my wing, maybe like a football-sized object right underneath our wing.
Tonight on Banfield, Ashley's joined by someone who spoke with that Border Patrol crew, and she is with us now. Wow.